Hello, everybody. Welcome to Run and Code, humor in South Texas law enforcement. I'm your host, T-Bone. With me, as always, my partner, J-Man. J-Man, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing real good.
You have a good week?
Had a good week. Got some coffee up in me.
Yep.
Good.
For the listeners and the watchers, we have our coffee. Was it productive?
Yeah, it was productive. Got a lot of stuff done.
I had a busy week, but we're not going to talk about that because that was all serious, and here in Run and Code, we like the humor. So today, we're going to talk about millennials, my least favorite strata of society, my least favorite generation. They are the worst generation, period.
I'm a millennial. I don't know. I don't want to seem too much like a traitor, so yeah. I mean, we got some
you
good.
were not raised that way because your mother did not allow it. That's the difference. That's why you don't act like millennials, because you weren't allowed to be raised like that. But by and large, the majority does act like that now. And the millennial is the entitled, I don't like what you're saying, so therefore it's wrong. Or I don't like what you're saying, so therefore it's rude.
Yeah.
Now, regular society, that's bad enough. In law enforcement, we have to deal with that on a daily basis. It makes our job 10 times harder because you can't talk to them. They get their information from Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. They don't fact check anything. They don't look anything up on their own. They just saw a 30-second clip on Twitter or Instagram, and that's it. That's the gospel, and you can't tell them different. Just an example of you have to have a license to drive a car, which every state in the U.S. requires a driver's license to drive a car. But you try and tell them that, no, I don't. I saw this video, and I don't have to have a license. Oh, my God. Yes, you do. So that's just a small example of what I mean by millennials getting bad information. And then if you tell them something they don't like to hear, you're being rude, or you're being insensitive to them, or you didn't call them by the right pronoun. I mean, oh my God, just hear what I have to say. And I deal with them as a traffic officer, and now you're a traffic officer now.
Mm-hmm.
So you stop them from every, the greatest generation all the way to millennials. You stop, all those. I don't know. Is there another one after millennials now?
It's Generation Z.
Generation Z.
So,
okay.
So real quick,
Even worse.
we the millennials, we did not come up with misgendering and pronouns. Gen Z, by the way. Not saying that nothing's wrong with it. Just don't give that to us, the millennials. Voiced by we the millennials.
Okay. All right. I will take that into consideration now. So maybe I should add Gen Z to this mix. I was born in the 70s. I'm Generation X.
Yes.
And I do tend to think it's the last decent generation. The last generation that really played outside. Weren't stuck to a screen. We didn't have cell phones and computers. Computers were in their infancy. When I was a teenager, computers weren't really something that every house had. And if you did, the internet was really slow. It was that whole dial-up. Yeah. And if someone picked up the phone, you just lost your signal.
Yeah, I still remember that.
And I think my mom got her first computer when I was like 13, I think. So that'd been early 90s. And I didn't have any use for it. It didn't mean anything to me. I would rather be outside, riding bikes, shooting the BB guns, doing anything other than being stuck in that house in front of a TV. And my mom only allowed me to have, I think it was half an hour a week on TV. That was it.
Wow.
She did not want us stuck to the TV. And now looking back, I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the differences in the way they act, the work ethic, Generation X will come to work for the most part and be on time and they'll work. But the millennial generation and Gen Z, they want accommodations. Well, I can't get up before 8, so do you mind if I start at 10? No, the hours are 8 to 5, or whatever. And they throw a fit because they want to be catered to and they want to be told they're special. I'm like, I got some news for you. You're not special. You're not unique. You asked to work there and you asked them to change their standards for you. And that was like when I was a drill sergeant. I used to tell my trainees, this is a standard. I'm not lowering it for you. You meet it. That's it.
Right.
Law enforcement, whether it's traffic stop, a call for service, if you're dealing with a millennial, it's hard to factor in that this person was raised with a completely different set of social values, moral values, and ethics because of their generation. And I look at him, I'm like, but my son's a millennial. He doesn't act like that. He doesn't act entitled. He doesn't act like he knows everything. He doesn't act like he hurt his feelings if you tell him information he doesn't disagree or that he doesn't agree with, or that he heard somewhere else and it's not the same. So what is it? And then I got to remembering, well, the strata of people we deal with, and psychologically, the persons we deal with a lot are stuck at 13 years old emotionally.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're still an adult who have children, and they take that 13-year-old mentality and they raise their own kids with it.
Mm-hmm.
So my family is all about personal accountability, responsibility, and consequences. And I know how your mom raised you.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to act the fool with your mother. She wasn't having it.
No.
So that's why. You're a member of millennials, but you don't act like one because your mother didn't allow that. She instilled discipline. She instilled ethics. She instilled morality. And she didn't let you act the fool and run wild. Hence why you're the good man you are today, even though you're a member of that generation. But you're like the senior millennial.
Yeah, so I looked up the years. I'm like on the back end. Like the back end is like that. Like we're like in the last like 7 years of the 90s. Like, and I think, or the last 4 years of the 90s, as far as like, I think the cutoff being 98. I want to say like 98 and after supposedly is Gen Z, but I don't know who comes up with these things. Because
it's done by generations.
Mm-hmm.
You got the greatest generations, then the boomers, then Generation X, and there was another one between Generation X and millennials.
Is there?
Maybe
is it
maybe
Y?
Maybe I'm mistaken.
It could be Y.
Maybe it's Y. I don't know. Oh, why? I think you might be right. Just why? Well, that's why. So on traffic stops, you pull them over and you walk up to the car. Hey, I'm so and so. I stopped you for XYZ, and immediately they want to start arguing. It's like time out. I didn't ask for all that. I told you who I was, who I work for, and why I stopped you. That's all the conversation needs to be. May I have your license, please? I don't have one. Or it's on my phone. We don't do digital licenses in Texas. You need to hand me the license card that they issued you. You have your phone, and they'll pull a wallet out, but they won't have a license in it. Like, you have a wallet? Oh, I left the license at home. Who are these people not putting their license in their wallet? I don't understand this. I don't think my wallet or my license has left my wallet since the day I got my license at 16. I think it's been there ever since.
Well, think about the hierarchy. You got phone, wallet.
Yes.
Wallet. Then wallet plus debit card, cash, whatever. Yeah. There. Condoms. Oh, I don't know. Pills.
Condoms. I haven't seen a condom since the 90s.
There's still people who put condoms in their wallets.
You know what, though? That would impress me. He might get a warning just because he has a rubber because he's not going to be procreating, which I do appreciate.
And then you have driver's license. Yeah. It's probably down there with insurance.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on that one. But I tell him, I said, and I asked this one kid once, and I said, if you left your phone at home, would you turn around and go get it? Well, yeah. But you left your license at home. Why didn't you turn around and go get that? Well, I mean, I took a picture of it. It's on my phone. That doesn't work that way. So now you're getting another citation for failure to exhibit a license, one that you have. And of course, I'll still let them show it to me. I'll write down the information, go back, run it, make sure it's valid and it's not BS. They haven't made it on some website. But there's that mindset out there. I don't have to have this stuff. If I tell you it's good, that's all you need to know, officer. Wrong, and wrong. Great example of millennial yesterday. I won't go into super details because this is going to be not going to be adjudicated for a while. But it was a base traffic stop for speeding. That's all it was. 81 into 70. That's all. But that's still a high speed. That's still, your chances of surviving a crash 80 and higher go way down.
Yeah.
Over 80. So I stopped him. I walk up with the car. I smelled the marijuana immediately. Immediately. It was strong too. But I just ignored it for a second because I want to at least get his info. That way, if I had mentioned, hey, you got weed in the car and he drives off, I don't have his info yet. Yeah. So I always get their info first. Just let me have your license. Okay, you still live here? Yeah, no, whatever. All right, man, how much weed's in this car? He goes, it's my brother's car. So I already know there's a problem here because that's not the question I asked. That's kind of like along the veins of, where are you coming from? I'm just trying to get home. That's not what I asked. I said, where are you coming from? Now, you can choose to answer or not to answer. That's fine. But when you answer, the answer doesn't make sense to the question asked. That raises that little antenna on my head. Like something's off. Or I'm just trying to get home. These aren't my pants. We've heard the gems. So I said, look, dude, that's not what I asked. I said, how much marijuana is in this car? I said, because it reeks and it smells like unburnt marijuana. It reeks. It is what it is, man, but it's not legal in Texas. So I asked him, I think 3 or 4 times, is there marijuana in this car? No. Okay. All right. Do me a favor, step out of the car. Steps out of the car. He goes stand in front of my push bars. I wasn't going to cuff him. He didn't have an attitude and he wasn't doing the run twitch. So all right, just stand right there in front of my camera. As soon as I look down on the floorboard, there's the bag of Maui Wowie right between where his feet were. I pulled it out, threw it on the roof and said, what's that? And he did that, whole hang his head and hang his shoulders. I'm like, you knew it was here. Yes, sir. Did you think I wasn't going to find it when I told you I was going to search the car? I mean, that mindset, that 19-year-old mindset. Well, I'm going to tell you it's not here, so you're just not going to see it when you search the car. It's going to be completely invisible to you when you search the car. It makes my eyes twitch. So, search the rest of the car. There was an empty THC from California canister, or a box, but the canister wasn't in it. So, and he goes, sir, I don't smoke. He goes, I work for, and I'm not going to say the name, but he works for a large medical organization here that does drug tests. So he's like, I don't smoke. I said, but you're the only one in the car, sole occupant. It's right between your feet. What do you want me to do here? So because we have cite and release here and he met the criteria, had a job, he resided in Bear County, had a valid ID, no prior charges, I cite and released him.
Okay.
Big deal. I mean, okay, fine. I already know what's going to happen. The end result, they're going to dismiss it within a couple of weeks when it gets down to cite and release, and that'll be the end of it. But I have no choice. I can't do the old days before cameras, and we used to just step on it, man, get out of here. Because now I got to drive all the way down to the property room just to put it in evidence when I know the case is going to get dismissed. So that annoys me greatly because I have other things to do in my time. I'm not going to arrest him, but I still got to go down there. You know, it is easier because I can, with officer discretion, just take him down anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I can, but why? He's not giving me an attitude. He's not being an ass. He had a clean record. He'd never been in trouble. He had a good job. And I believed it probably really wasn't his. It probably really was his brother's. But I told him, I said, why didn't you throw this out as soon as you got in the car when you saw it? Like, you know, you have a possibility of being stopped any time of day or not. I mean, it's for anything.
Yeah.
Why didn't you get rid of it? I was more scared of my brother getting mad at me. So you're more scared of your brother getting mad at you, but you weren't scared of getting arrested, possibly arrested for possession of marijuana and possibly losing the job you have because they have a strict zero tolerance policy at where you work. It does sound stupid, sir. Yes, it does. And I thank you for understanding that, you know. So it kind of got through to him a little bit. And like I said, it wasn't negative. We didn't leave on a bad note. He shook my hand. Sorry, sir. I really appreciate the break. Hey, man, look, it ain't personal. Just make smarter choices. Tell your brother to shampoo his car. If you're going to borrow his car and it smells like weed, maybe don't borrow his car because you're going to get searched every time.
Yeah.
Until they make it legal. And what people don't realize is even when they make marijuana legal in Texas, there will still be rules.
Yes.
You can't just all of a sudden drive around with a hay bale of marijuana in your trunk. It's going to have to be probably like California, Colorado, Washington, Oregon. It has to be in the original package, the original container, and sealed.
Yeah.
So if the car smells like weed, your car's still going to get searched because it shouldn't. I've been in a dispensary once for funsies when I was in California visiting family. I swung by a dispensary. I wanted to see. I'd never seen it before. So I swung in and it really didn't smell. I mean, it's sealed. They keep that stuff sealed really heavily. It wasn't the overwhelming smell. I thought it'd be like the evidence room. You go to the evidence room and it just reeks.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Doesn't really smell like that. You ever been in a dispensary anywhere?
No.
Yeah, so it's not legal where you're from. Or it is now.
No,
right?
It's decriminalized. So
decriminalized. So you can't sell it, but you're not going to get in trouble for having it.
Right. So you can't have over a certain amount in on your person, and you can't have a certain amount in your vehicle. But if it's over, you can still go to jail for having, I can't remember how many ounces it is.
Statutorily prohibited amount, I think is what they call it.
Yes.
SPA, statutorily prohibited amount.
I think you can't have no more than a couple of grams on your physical person.
Grams, really? Not even ounces, just grams?
Yeah, no.
Wow,
if you're walking, if somebody's walking around with an ounce of weed on the street, it's just a matter of time before they get assaulted, robbed, or they're just going to sell it off. But they're still dealers. Like, don't get me wrong. I talk to my family frequently, and there was a discussion we had a couple months back. I'm like, how is the decriminalization going for marijuana? The two things that they pointed out specifically is the bad driving. There are really some people out there that believe that because it's not alcohol, that you somehow magically drive better on marijuana. And I don't know anybody who has smoked weed at all, marijuana at all. You don't even walk right. So how in the world can you drive better than somebody drunk when you can't even walk and sit right when you're high? Like, crazy. So that's one. And then the second thing is people still sell. They still deal.
Of course they do.
So what the justice system is thinking that they're doing by legalizing it, nothing's changed.
Yeah, it's a zero-sum game.
Because they don't want to pay taxes. Anything. You gotta remember, a criminal is not only a law dodger, they're also a tax dodger. I don't know no criminal that's really paying taxes.
Sure, he reports his income. I'm an unlicensed street pharmacist.
Even white collar, even like, what is it, blue collar or white collar? White collar crime.
Yeah,
white collar criminals don't pay the taxes they should. They pay some taxes to look legit, but they're not paying all the taxes.
Yep.
It's insane. So that's the two main things: terrible driving, and of course they don't want to pay taxes, so they're going to sling it on the side.
Well, and it's funny you mention that because that's where all the recording studios came from in the 80s. Suge Knight was one of them. Was it Death Row Records?
Yeah.
That was used to hide money because they had no way to justify the massive amount of income from narcotics trafficking.
Yeah.
So that's why all of a sudden these record labels started popping up everywhere. And that was one of them, was Suge Knight's Death Row Records. Of course, he was a stone cold blood to the core. But I mean, that's money laundering. That's what he was doing, is money laundering. They made a record label, but that's what they're using it for, is to hide money. That's what it's for.
Well, don't get it misconstrued now. Don't disrespect Suge Knight. He's Pyru.
Yeah.
Suge was from Bompton.
I remember I was living in California when NWA came out and all that. And I do remember that. And I remember it really well because it blew up and it was everywhere all of a sudden. But there's a great book by a retired Compton police sergeant who actually knew all these guys and chased them when they were all kids, and who was slinging crack and who was slinging dope. And he names names in the book. Like people he busted, they're huge stars now and have shows on TV, and I won't name names. They can read the book if they want to. But he talks about openly arresting them for having slung drugs on the corners. And he goes, then they opened up all these studios all of a sudden to hide the money, to look legitimate.
Yeah.
But not really anything to do with millennials. But
not a bad
little sidebar.
Yeah.
The whole... One thing I have noticed with millennials, I can always collect millennials with marijuana. THC is another problem. Yes. THC vapes is a huge problem because they don't realize that any amount of THC oil, because it's hash oil, that's what it is a felony in Texas. Period. Now, whether the prosecutor or whether the DA's office is actually going to prosecute for it or not, that's hit or miss. Depends on how much you have. Like I mentioned in a previous episode where I stopped that car and they had like 300 THC canisters from California. They took that one. The feds took that one. And of course, they're going to test it and they're going to file federal charges on him for trafficking. But they don't realize there is a difference between marijuana and THC oil. There is a difference. Yeah. That's a pure extract. So it's going to be like 98% pure, 97% pure. That's like a freight train hitting your brain. And you're driving a car, a 4,000-pound piece of metal. In the penal code, a car is a weapon. Yeah. So you're driving this 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000-pound car high. And they don't seem to think there's a problem. Now, we're both traffic officers. We know there's a problem.
Yeah, of course.
So I pull you over, and it's funny how open they are. Like alcohol, I only had one. They'll try to hide they had any. Marijuana, yeah, I just smoked like 10 minutes ago. Okay, step out of the car. Why? Because I'm going to test you. Wait, what? Yeah, I have to make sure you're not impaired before I let you drive off down the road. Wait a minute, hold on. No, step out. Well, it's not alcohol, so I'll be fine. Okay, we'll see. And then 10 minutes later, cuffs are going on. You're under arrest at DWI. I don't know what to tell you. But it wasn't alcohol. Doesn't have to be. Any substance, drug, dangerous drug, alcohol, or any other substance that impairs your vehicle or impairs your ability to operate a motor vehicle safely. That's it. That disrupts your mental and physical faculties. We don't want you behind the wheel. If an average car crosses a football field in 2.2 seconds at 60 miles an hour, and the average human takes a second to even react to danger before they move their foot towards the brake, and that's sober, without impairment. Yep. Add marijuana to that, or THC. Now it can take up to 3 seconds before you start putting your foot towards the brake, and you just crossed a football field. When you tell it like that to people, you can see the candle above their head start flickering like, oh, like, yeah. Because in 3 seconds, a lot changes on the road. A lot changes on the road. And this is what text while driving is so dangerous. Yeah. They're looking down at their lap. They're not even looking through the windshield. They're looking down at their lap for however long it takes to type. And they think they look down for a split second. But I've driven right next to them, looked in their window watching them, and you can see, you're like, good God. Like they haven't even looked up once. I've been watching them for 10, 15 seconds, and they're just, I'm like, that's a problem.
And it's not a Tesla?
Yeah, not a Tesla. So but I don't care. You're still going to get one in a Tesla because you still have to have manual control of that car. It may be that self-driving crap, but you still have to have input.
I think even in a Tesla's manual, it says that you still have to have physical control of the vehicle.
I thought it was supposed to be you still had to have your hands on the wheel or something.
Something like that.
It wouldn't work if you didn't have your hands on the wheel.
Even in the Tesla's general manual, they don't just give away like You're like, okay, just because you're not driving, but you're the driver in the driver's seat.
You're not going to kick your feet up on the dash and let the car drive off for you. That's not going to happen.
They even said that there's still times where a driver has to physically control the wheel.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And you should be watching it, because if the computer program craps out or kicks off for whatever, and you got your feet up on the dash watching a movie on your phone, and you crash, that's on you. You still have ultimate control of that vehicle. You have the 3 C's: care, custody, and control.
Mm-hmm.
It's your car. You're behind the wheel. So when I pull them out and I test them, and I'm A-Ride certified, so I can also do the test for marijuana, the lack of convergence, the modified Romberg. So I'll do the SFST, and they'll functionally pass the SFST. It's not a pass or fail. We all know it's the amount of clues observed. You won't get horizontal gaze and nystagmus because they're not impaired with a depressant or associative anesthetic or an inhalant.
Mm-hmm.
But they're moving really slow. Now, that is not a clue. Is how slow they're moving is not a clue. But if they normally walk at a normal pace and then they're walking incredibly slow, again, that's that delayed reaction, and I don't want that behind the wheel of a 4,000-pound car going down the highway. I need you to be sober, and I need you to be paying attention. I'm tired of cleaning up bodies. It's just called what it is. I'm being selfish. I'm tired of sitting on the highway in the rain or the cold or the heat cleaning up body parts because you couldn't just watch where you were going and slow down. Millennials and speed. I mean, a lot of my speed stops are going to be that millennial generation. They're doing 95 like it's nothing. And then, I stopped you for doing 95. I wasn't doing 95. Yes, you were. Oh, I didn't think I was. Well, the speedometer's right in front of your face. So did you just not look at it? Or what made you think when you're passing all these cars at high speed on the highway, what do you think they're all doing 30? They're all doing about 5 to 10 over the speed limit, and you going by like they're sitting still, you're probably speeding. No, it wasn't me you were watching.
Well, there's a big thing with millennials and feelings, and sometimes I can fall victim to this. Because I was born in it, So it's just.
But you haven't let it control you, and that's the difference.
Right.
It doesn't run every decision you make.
It's the feeling, it's just feelings. I feel like I'm being oppressed by this system, so my rage or animus is justified. So
you know what? But there's nothing new with that, though. You go back to the 60s, down with the government, Rage Against the Machine, when you got to was it Rage Against the Machine, the band, that was early 90s, I want to say. It's cyclical. Every 20 years you get that cyclical down with the government, and then an incident like 9/11 happens, and everybody is pro-government again for about 5 minutes. And then when nothing else happens, if nothing else has happened, the danger must be gone. So down with the government again, and down with the military, and down with law enforcement. And then something big happens, and oh my God, we need them. These are the idiots. And I got 2 great examples of the thought process here. Bear with me on both.
Okay.
One's good, and the other one's going to make you laugh. It's like a group of sheep realize the wolf has teeth, so they pull out their own teeth. That doesn't make the wolf less dangerous. Or that's like cutting off your own dick to prevent rape. You didn't do it, so why are you cutting off your dick?
But current trend of thought, that could be an acceptable solution.
Okay, for the one who actually committed the crime. But that's like people getting rid of the anti-gun. We should get rid of all guns to make the world safer. The criminal's not getting rid of them. So if you get rid of your guns, but the criminal still has his, how are you protecting yourself? Or there's rapists out there. You're going to cut off your own dick to prevent rape? He still has his. Or pulling out your own teeth because the wolf still has teeth. Think for yourself. Stop letting Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok tell you how to think. Use your brain. Because everybody, I tell you right now, self-preservation is a powerful thing. And it's amazing how fast someone's mind changes when they've been the victim of a crime that could have been prevented if they'd had a firearm. I'm not saying we should all carry like the Old West and shoot it out in the street when someone offends you. That's not what I'm saying. But it is amazing how many people turn from staunch left-wing loonies to right-wing Republicans real quick when they're the victim of a crime that could have been prevented.
But I think one thing, too, to remember is just like, I guess this will be millennial and Gen Z. There is that idea of there's a reason that that individual is doing what they're doing. So while the they may be a victim of crime, or they may be victimized, but even still, they don't attribute that behavior to the actual person committing the crime, to the actor. It's that, oh, either generational poverty or redlining, gerrymandering, insert whatever, like Republican politician, whatever. They're the cause for why this individual has to go out there and accost me on the street, and I can't get mad at them. I just never shared that sentiment. It's like, man, if you want to try to come and rush me, I'm going to rush you, and that has a lot to do with where I'm from. Like,
True.
like
Where
that
you're
has
from, you better throw hands.
I'm not disclosing where I'm from, but it has a lot to do where I'm from.
It's not Texas.
So that's just
east
one,
of us.
That's just one thing. Like, it's just not. I'm just not going down like that.
Yeah.
That mindset is very prevalent. Kind of where I'm from, but no one where I'm from follows that mindset because they know in the streets is something else.
It is. It's entirely different. I would love to watch a millennial, regular millennial, interact with a group of hardcore gangbangers.
They gonna walk across the street.
Well, they're not going to challenge them, and if they're dumb enough to, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, we better get there quick because otherwise you're picking up body parts. But
they gonna walk across the street.
People talk to us. This is a great, especially millennials. I've had this talk with somebody, and I don't think I actually changed their mind. But I figured, you know what, worth a shot. Give it a try. You never know. If I sway one, maybe I swayed one. The way this kid was talking to me, and he's like, and you violate people's rights, and you guys are all assholes, and blah, 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 just kept going on and on and on. I said, do you know why you feel so free to say that to me like that and talk to me like that? Why? Because you know I'm not going to do it to you. You know I'm not going to pull you out of the car, beat the crap out of you, violate your rights. That's why you feel so free talking to me the way you are. I said, I recommend you go to Middle East, Europe, Asia, and talk to the cops the way you're talking to me and see what happens. Try that with a Russian police officer. It's not going to go your way. I said, because they will, and they don't have Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment rights, and First Amendment rights, and Second Amendment definitely don't have them in Russia. You have rights, whatever rights they give you, and there ain't a whole lot of them. They're in charge. It's their country. They're the cops. End of story. So trust me, you would not be talking this way to cops from other countries. You talk to me because you know instinctively that I'm not really going to do the things that you think I'm going to do, or you would not be talking to me that way. Because if you truly thought that I was just going to violate your rights and beat the crap out of you, would you still be talking to me like that if you thought I really was going to do that? No, you would not. Because there's a consequence, a physical one. That's my issue. They want to make it out to be this whole thing when they know damn well it is not.
Yeah.
But they hear this, and in their mind, it doesn't connect. Like, if I think he's going to hurt me, like, I truly believe that this officer is going to hurt me, but I'm still going to talk to him like this. Tells me you're not really sure.
Well, I mean, because if they come across somebody from the street or like a criminal or what have you, well, I mean, they have a direct fear right then and there. But then they'll just call it implicit bias. I'm like, well, no, that guy's just that individual. I don't want to say guy now. I'm not saying guy. Remember, I'm still a millennial. I'm not saying guy. That individual could and is dangerous because they are actively robbing you.
Yeah.
But it's funny. A police officer writes a person a ticket. That is robbery. Robbery via gun by the government.
In their mind, yeah, I've heard that before.
And it's not robbery with the gun where some criminal does it. Like, what is that? Just you chalk it up to the game. You're a civilian. You're not even in the game. Like, it's just funny. It's weird.
Aside from the obvious revenue stream from traffic violations, some counties don't need it. Like this one doesn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Houston doesn't need it. Dallas doesn't need it. They plenty of money off county property taxes. Your traffic ticket's not really going to push them over the limit into the black. It's not going to.
And that's not even the point of the fine being attached.
Exactly right. The point is, it pinches your wallet, will pinch your ass next time you go to do what you just did.
Yeah.
And you'll go, oh, okay, I paid $200 last time I did that. Maybe I shouldn't do it again. And that's all we want. And I tell people all the time, frankly, I don't care if you pay the ticket or not. I really don't. I want you to stop driving the way you were. That's what I care about. I don't really care about much else. Don't drive like that. That's all. If you don't pay the ticket, I don't care. Slow down. Use your turn signals. Don't drive like an aggressive asshole. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. If you stop driving the way you were, I'm happy. I don't care if you pay the ticket or not. I'm not going to lose any sleep because you didn't pay the ticket. But I would really hate to stop you, and this has happened before. This is actually documented, happened in law enforcement before. There was that one, I don't know if it was Colorado or wherever it was, but the officer had stopped him for high speed, like high speed. Ended up just giving him a ticket, cut him loose. 10 minutes later, the kid killed himself and his girlfriend down the road. And he was the first officer on scene. And he recognized the car and the driver and the female passenger immediately. He had just stopped him.
Oh yeah, I seen the body cam footage for
Yes.
that.
And it's
Recently
heartbreaking.
It came out, yeah.
Because in his mind,
That officer, he was like traumatized.
He was.
I won't say traumatized, like the wrong word, but
no,
he was
I'm
affected by.
I'm going to say traumatized.
He was affected.
He was
by
highly affected by that because he just stopped the kid for high speed. I mean, this kid was flying. He was hauling ass.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave him a lecture too. And he wasn't a dick about it, but hey, you need to slow down, man. Speed kills and blah, blah, blah. The same speech I make, same speech you make. And then 10 minutes later, after releasing, the kid kills himself and his girlfriend in a high-speed crash. I mean, that had to be traumatic.
Yeah.
And clearly the kid didn't learn.
Nope.
Clearly the kid didn't listen. So is that the officer's fault? No, not one bit. But we're human. That's going to affect us. That would affect me. And I consider myself pretty rock solid. Not a lot affects me unless it comes to children. Children always affect me because I'm a human being.
Right.
And I like kids. Kids, dogs, and that's about the last things I like on this planet is kids and dogs and coffee. But that would affect me. Because in your mind, is there something I could have said that got his attention? Maybe I should have towed the car because it was high rate of speed just to get his attention, but I didn't because I wouldn't normally. You just give him the ticket, he's got insurance registration, slow down, have a nice day. And I didn't. Oh my God, you second guess. Maybe I should have now. And you start second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
Even though we shouldn't, because realistically, there was nothing in the world he could have done about that.
Person gonna
He
make
cut him down the
decision.
road, he made the decision.
Yeah.
It just sucks that now he has to live with that for the rest of his life in his own mind. Like, I should have done X, Y, Z. And of course, that was a millennial generation.
Later.
Might have been Generation Z.
He was just saying, yeah.
They looked a little young. I want to say their early 20s, maybe.
I think
Maybe.
if they're like 19, early 20s, more than likely they're going to be anybody after 99 for the most part.
Is that the cutoff for Gen Z?
That's the start for it.
Okay, so 81 to 99.
81 to like 95, 96 is going to be your millennial.
Okay, so yeah, there wasn't a break between Gen X. So it is Gen X, millennial,
Yeah.
and then Gen Z.
Yeah. So and like 98, 99 and after up until I don't know what point, maybe 2005 or what have you, or 2008, for that next, whatever that next generation is going to be, that's typically Gen Z, anybody after 98,
No.
99. So it's just, it sucks. I mean, it sucks, but it just goes back to the whole feeling thing and the attitude towards military, law enforcement, government, civics, whatever you want to call it. It's just diminishing as the generations go along.
Because in their mind, the danger is not there. You got your social warriors and your social justice warriors and crap like that. Okay. Have they gotten better in the words you've said over the years? Yes. And there did need to be a change. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Wholeheartedly agree. The stuff we used to say in the 90s and the 80s, no. I mean, just look at a TV show in the 80s and watch it now. It is two different things. And it should be. But they went so far the other direction with it that feelings now supplant facts, logic.
Yes. And that's the part I don't like.
It's like my life is based on fact. What do I know for a fact? What do I see? What do I hear? Not how do I feel about it? This is what I tell people all the time. Again, traffic stops as a primary example because that's what I do daily. I'll pull people over and they'll start arguing with me. I'll go, hold on. Did you understand what I said? Not did you like what I said? Did you understand what I said? Well, yeah. Okay, then your feelings don't matter. The speed limit was posted. You do 98 miles an hour. That's it. Whether you like the information or not, you were. I'm sorry you don't like it. There's a consequence, though. Sorry. But in their mind, because they don't like it, it must be inaccurate or it must be true. Or because they don't like it, I'm supposed to immediately stop what I'm doing and go, you know what? You're free to go because you didn't like the information. Wrong. I'm going to do my job.
Yep.
I'm going to enforce these laws because they're written in blood. And this is the thing that people don't understand. Moving traffic violations are written in blood. They all are. Every moving violation on the books was written in a crash.
Yeah.
That's where they're from. Signaling, improper unsafe lane changes, disregard stop sign, disregard red light, speeding, all that is all based on someone died. This is why those laws are on the books.
Oh, so it's not because we're levying taxes and we're road pirates?
Maybe that was another state, maybe. I don't care, like I said, if you pay the ticket or not. I don't. I'm not going to make any more money whether you pay or don't. And the system should not be that way, and I'm glad it isn't. We should not get ever, and it never has been that I've ever heard of, where the more tickets you wrote, the more money you got paid. It doesn't exist. I don't know where you hear that crap, and it shouldn't be, because then there are warnings for a reason, and sometimes you can give a legitimate warning, and I have. Yeah. If you borrow your friend's car and you didn't know that it had no insurance on it, can I give you a ticket still? Yes, I can, because you have the care, custody, and control. But not your car. You borrowed it to run to the store. Okay. I can give you a warning and feel okay about that. Unless I run your driving record and you got like 5 priors for no insurance. Okay, that might be different, because now I don't quite believe you that this is your friend's car.
Right.
But there's a time and a place for warnings. By and large, traffic officers don't really give warnings. If we stop you, it's for something legitimate that needs to be stopped. And typically I stop for the things that cause crashes, because I'm trying to knock down my crash rate. I'm trying to knock down how many crashes I have to work. And if I can get one person's attention a day, that might be one less crash down the road I got to deal with.
Yeah, very true.
So it's not out to be mean. I'm not out here to ruin someone's day or take money from them. I don't like writing tickets during the holidays, and not because I love the holidays, because I don't like the holidays. I don't care. But I got to hear, well, it's Christmas. So is the traffic code suspended during Christmas? Is the traffic code suspended during New Year's? These laws, and if you remember, peace officer course, day 1, all laws are enforced 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
There is no, I've actually heard people say this, that truly believe that no traffic citations can be issued on Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's. I've heard that. I'm like, are you from Texas? Yeah. That's never been on the laws in Texas. And if it was probably 70, 80 years ago. No. All laws are enforced 24/7. Regardless of, and it even says regardless of day, night, or holiday. It says it right in the Code of Criminal Procedure for a reason. Because think about it. If you knew like Thursday you could, or Thanksgiving, which is typically a Thursday, Thanksgiving, you could just drive 120 that day everywhere you go and no consequence. Can you imagine how many crashes we'd work on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Or Christmas or New Year's? We're already going to work Christmas or crash on New Year's Eve. You and I are both going to be out on New Year's Eve working. We already know, bring an extra box of flares because we're going to be busy. So that's my foot stomp this week. I get it. Every generation has what they believe is the way they do things and the way they dress, and they set themselves apart from the generation prior. But can we just go back to a generation where facts and logic actually ruled versus emotion and wishful thinking? That'd be great.
Probably won't happen, though.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's just my facts.
Yeah. It's what I believe, and that's it. And if I believe it, then you should too. And if you don't, I want to cancel you. Mm-hmm. This show will probably be canceled in 6 months. Well, listeners, we hope you enjoyed today's show. For those of you listening to the podcast, here soon, we're actually going to start a video channel on YouTube under Running Code. You'll be able to find it, RUNNIN_code, Running Code. And you'll start seeing these shows actually on video versus just audio. So keep an eye out for that. We will let everybody know when that comes out, and that way you can all see it and join us on there and finally get a look at who T-Bone and J-Man really are. So, brothers and sisters, I would like you to stay safe this week. Please be careful. It's still the holidays. For those that are working New Year's Eve on DWI task force or gang units, just please be very careful. Go home to your families. You want to start 2024 in one piece. You finish 2023 in one piece. We like it to continue. So, to all our fellow officers out there, you be safe, take care. Citizens, we hope you enjoyed today's show and learned something. J-Man, do you have anything you need to add?
No, just everybody be safe.
All right, and we are out of here.